It was a crisp Sunday morning, the kind where the air smells like fresh-cut grass and the world feels like it's taking a deep breath. Ethan Caldwell had just powered down his leaf blower, its hum fading into the quiet of his suburban street. He stood in his front yard, gardening gloves on, a chipped coffee mug dangling from one hand, sweat beading on his brow. He was lost in the rhythm of his weekend ritual when a sharp voice sliced through the calm. "Step away from that equipment." Ethan froze, his eyes darting up to see two police officers striding toward him, hands hovering near their holsters. The taller one, a guy with a jawline like a brick wall, had already unclipped his gun. Ethan blinked, caught in a moment that felt like it belonged in a bad movie. This wasn't just a quiet weekend court, it was the start of a neighborhood showdown that would spiral into chaos. Ethan wasn't just any homeowner. He was the regional supervisor for the county's law enforcement, the guy who signed off on schedules and budgets for the very precinct these officers worked for. But the woman who dialed 911, Patricia Hensley, the HOA's self-proclaimed queen, had no idea who she'd just targeted. She thought she was putting some slob in his place, but she just lit a fuse that would blow her carefully curated world apart. That morning, Ethan had woken up at his usual 9 a.m., sunlight sneaking through his blinds. After a brutal week juggling police operations dealing with everything from budget cuts to officer disputes, she wanted nothing more than to lose himself in simple tasks. He brewed his coffee, tossed a treat to his scruffy mutt, Baxter, and pulled on his faded jeans and a college sweatshirt that had seen better days. His boots, still caked with last week's mud, crunched as he headed outside to tackle his overgrown hedges. Yard work was his escape, a way to drown out the noise of his high-stakes job. He was deep into trimming when, at 10:34 a.m., Patricia stormed across the street, her pink robe flapping, oversized sunglasses perched like a crown. She clutched a clipboard like it was a scepter and started laying into him. "You can't mow before noon. It's in the HOA rules. You're disturbing the peace." Ethan, wiping sweat from his forehead, kept his cool. He'd read the bylaws, knew them better than most. Thanks to his job, and calmly pointed out that lawn care was allowed after 9 a.m. on weekends. He even offered to grab the rule book from his garage, but Patricia wasn't Hawaii-ing it. "Arrogant men," she muttered, stomping back to her house, her slippers slapping the pavement. Ethan shook his head, figuring that was the end of it, and went back to his hedges. But then he caught sight of her pacing her porch, phone in hand, gesturing like she was auditioning for a soap opera. 10 minutes later, two patrol cars screeched up, lights flashing, tires squealing. The lead officer, hand on his holster, barked at Ethan to step back. The second officer, younger, hesitated, then whispered something to his partner. Their faces changed, recognition hit like a lightning bolt. Ethan raised an eyebrow, hands VY Seibel. "Officer Bennett, we good here?" The younger officer stammered, "Super VY Sor Caldwell, sir, we didn't know it was you." Ethan's gaze slid to Patricia, who stood on her lawn, hands on hips, smirking like she'd just caught a bank robber. Her smugness melted when the officers turned, apologizing to Ethan, explaining that a resident had reported a threatening man wielding machinery. Patricia's voice cracked as she shouted, "You're letting him off?" The taller officer spun around. "Ma'am, that's our boss. He runs this precinct." Her jaw hit the ground, her words dissolving into a stunned mumble. Ethan didn't raise his voice, didn't need to. Years of leadership had taught him that silence hits harder than shouting. He thanked the officers, promised to follow up with their commander, and turned to Patricia. "If my hedges bother you during allowed hours, file a complaint. Don't waste 911. She stammered, then fled inside, her door slamming so hard it echoed down the street. Neighbors peeked from windows, some pretending to water plants while eating up the drama. Old Mrs. Larson, who'd clashed with Patricia before, shot Ethan a grin that said she was low VYing every second. Ethan's pulse was still racing as he retreated to his garage, sipping his now-cold coffee. This wasn't Patricia's first stunt, but it was her boldest. Misusing 911 wasn't just petty, it was reckless, dangerous even. That evening, he logged into the county dispatch system, curiosity burning. What he found floored him. 16 calls from Patricia's address in the past year, each more ridiculous than the last. Illegal garden gnomes. A kid's birthday party labeled an unauthorized gathering. A stray cat flagged as a suspicious loiterer. Every call had tied up resources, wasting time and money. Ethan leaned back, a mix of amusement and anger washing over him. Patricia's obsession with control wasn't just annoying, it was crossing into criminal territory. She'd handed him the rope, and he was ready to pull. The next morning, the neighborhood felt eerily quiet. Patricia's curtains stayed shut, her usual routine of sweeping her driveway while spying on everyone noticeably absent. By noon, Ethan's phone buzzed with a group chat alert. Patricia had unleashed a novel-length post on the HOA's Facebook page, accusing an unnamed resident of impersonating law enforcement, threatening her safety, and waging noise terrorism with a trimmer. She kept repeating weaponized lawn care like it was her new catchphrase. Comments ranged from confused to outright sarcastic, but Ethan wasn't laughing. This was defamation, and Patricia was doubling down. He spent the afternoon gathering EVY Denke, the HOA bylaws, the 911 call transcript, screenshots of her post, and timestamp footage from his security cameras capturing the whole incident or tirade, the cops' arrival, her retreat. That night, he emailed the HOA board, requesting a formal re-VYEW of Patricia's conduct under their ethics clause. 3 days later, the HOA president, a soft-spoken retiree named Harold Weiss, invited Ethan to the next meeting. Complaints about Patricia had flooded in not just from Ethan, but from neighbors fed up with a reign of terror. One got fined for leaving a recycling bin out too long. Another faced threats over a dog barking during a storm. Stories emerged of Patricia sneaking onto porches to photograph non-compliant decorations. At the meeting, the air crackled with tension. Patricia sat at the table's end, arms crossed, her smugness barely hiding her nervous glances. Harold called on Ethan, who stood and laid out the facts with the precision of a seasoned cop. The footage, the transcript, her defamatory post, each piece hit like a hammer. When he revealed her impersonation accusation, gasps rippled through the room. Patricia jumped up, yin vy Ted, her voice shrill. He intimidated me. He manipulated the police. He's plotting to take over the HOA with psychological warfare. A retired firefighter named Tom muttered. Against what? Lawns. The room stifled laughs. Harold cut in, warning Patricia that falsely reporting a crime was serious. Her eyes darted, finding no allies. Tom proposed her removal from the board. The vote was unanimous. Patricia stormed out, vowing lawsuits, but no one followed. The neighborhood exhaled, but Ethan knew Patricia wasn't done. His gut was right. A week later, an internal affairs officer showed up with a file. Patricia had filed a complaint, accusing Ethan of abusing his authority and orchestrating her public humiliation. Her claims were wild, painting him as some mastermind psychologically dominating a CIVYLN. Ethan read the file, stunned by her nerve. The officer doubted her story, but protocol demanded a re-VYEW. Ethan wasn't worried his record was spotless, but he knew her game. Tarnish his name, play the VY Tim, regain control. He fought back, building a dossier with her 911 calls cross-referenced against police reports, plus neighbor VY Deos showing her antics measuring mailboxes at midnight, slapping stickers on windows for shade violations. He met with Sarah, a no-nonsense DA liaison, who saw ground for felony misuse of emergency SARE VYCS. The wheels of justice started turning. Patricia's complaint against Ethan was dismissed, internal affairs praising his restraint, but she didn't stop. At an HOA open forum, she grabbed the mic, ranting about persecution and emotional damage. Then she slipped, admitting she kept BHA VY oral tracking files on residents' trash schedules, pet tags, meeting attendance. The room erupted. You've been spying, a man demanded. Her backtracking only fueled the outrage. Harold announced her permanent ban from HOA active VY ties, citing her admission. She fled, chased by angry voices, her influence shattered. Then came Patricia's final move. A 4-page letter appeared in every mailbox, railing against Ethan, Harold, and an HOA industrial complex. She announced a citizens' board to rival the HOA desperate, delusional bid for power. A few neighbors, swayed by her VY-Tim act, whispered support, but most laughed. Ethan compiled a spreadsheet of her fake citations due law 150 fines for wind chimes, warnings for clashing plants backed by VY Deos. When a neighbor posted footage of Patricia's midnight patrols online, captioned, HOA Vigilante, it went VY Rel. News outlets jumped in, headlines screaming about the HOA tyrant who called cops on her own super VY soar. Patricia's press release, accusing the media of defamation, only fanned the flames. Ethan and Sarah filed a criminal complaint for her 911 abuses. Weeks later, Patricia was charged with misdemeanor misuse of emergency, Sarah VYCES, with harassment probes pending. Her house hit the market, a for sale sign replacing her tacky lawn decor. She vanished without a word. At a neighborhood cookout, laughter rang out, kids drew chalk tributes to Ethan, and Harold toasted him for upholding justice. A new couple moved into Patricia's house, welcomed with cupcakes and smiles. Months later, Ethan received a sheriff's commendation for Sarah VYC beyond the badge. At the ceremony, applause roared as the sheriff praised his integrity. News dubbed him the cop who tamed the HOA queen, sparking debates on HOA overreach nationwide. The neighborhood rebuilt its HOA, hosting festivals and projects free from fear. A leaf blower-shaped neighborhood hero sign appeared on Ethan's porch, a quiet nod from grateful neighbors. On the incident's anniversary, a block party unfolded under a banner reading Peace, Plants, and Unity. Patricia was gone, but the community she'd fractured had grown stronger, fiercer, united. So what do you think? Was Ethan too hard on Patricia, or did she get what she deserved? Should HOAs have this much power over neighbors? Or are they a necessary EVYL? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you're Team Ethan, and subscribe for more stories of everyday heroes taking down petty tyrants.